I'd like us to move on to our next topic, and with this report on from Edwin Kenzeka concerning what happened in the Southwest within the week.
The president has spoken. Paul Biya has condemned the acts and called their perpetrators terrorists, reiterating that they will be fished out from their hideouts and training camps because he does not do business with terrorists. Their modus operandi has been the systematic unlawful use of force and violence against persons and property in order to coerce or intimidate the government in the furtherance of their objective. It started with the burning of state symbols, schools and public buildings, then the hoisting of flags and attacks on military positions. No state can be indifferent. Cameroon has been engaged in a bloody conflict with Boko Haram to stop it from destroying schools, killing and hoisting their flags to create a caliphate. The president's logic is that all other regions must be protected, as he swore when he won the confidence of Cameroonians in the presidential election. This week, the government of Cameroon confirmed that an armed group fighting for the independence of the English-speaking regions had claimed responsibility over the killing of defense and security forces. President Biya's response to terrorism has always had some consistency in protecting all people and all of their property from barbarism and ensuring Cameroon's integrity.
Thank you very much, Muki. Now, Doctor, would you qualify what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest today as still part of the Anglophone crisis?
Of course, yes. It is part of the. It is radicalizing. The crisis is now radicalizing. It started from, and that's what we call a conflict. A conflict starts from somewhere, hardening. And from hardening, if you have threshold, at the threshold, if there's no dialogue, it moves to the next step, which is polemics and debate. If you move to polemics and debate, it keeps on going on. If there's no particular way of handling it, it moves to the next step. We have 9 steps of conflict escalations. And in these 9 steps of conflict escalation, it is getting more and more violent. So what is happening today in the Northwest and Southwest is that the conflict is being radicalized because we have not gone to dialogue. We have been talking about dialogue. Everybody is talking about dialogue here, but the dialogue is not forthcoming. And if the dialogue does not come, one of the characteristics of this type of conflict is that it will keep on escalating, and one day we should not be surprised to see ourselves like Rwanda or Sudan. So it started in this way, and it keep on going on until when somebody will say, stop, let's try to see how to handle it. So it is not an issue of, to me, my position is that the people are being radicalized. In a conflict, you have 3 types of people. You have those who will say, in this type of conflict, let me specify, in this type of conflict, we have 3 types of people. Those who will say, we are tired, we are not being treated fairly as the other group is treated, so we want to secede. That is one category of people. The other category of people is those who say, oh, it is the government, we cannot win the government, so I will just stay here and suffer. Then you have the 3rd category of people. The 3rd category of people are those people who say, I will not secede, I will not sit and look, but I will fight in order to improve the situation. So now, the question is, who is fighting now to improve the situation? Is it the terrorists or say the radicals?
Yes. When you speak, and when I look back and how we handled the situation on this program, I see us evolving. Okay? I see the ideas, your ideas, and I see how you fit it like on a map. Now, given what you have described, and this is from the theoretical perspective, and where we are now, can you say that we have? You talked about how many?
9 steps.
9 steps. Where are we now?
Actually, we are now at the 5th step, loss of face, where everybody is now trying to hit in one way or another. And this is not a very good phase, because from this phase, we are moving to another very dangerous phase, which is going to be more violent.
Okay, now, when you say what you say, and you have all your theory that you have, one will be asking himself, why have you not been able to, or those who, the decision makers, can they not fit that in a square and see where we are?
Well, the very first thing is that my experience in Cameroon is most people don't even understand this type of conflict.
Okay.
They think that this conflict is like the interstate conflict where you have one state fighting another state. This is a totally different type of conflict, and in this type of conflict, what is needed is dialogue. The military can never bring a solution to this conflict. On the contrary, the military is going to suppress this conflict, and when it is coming up, it will come up in a more violent manner as it is today. So,
okay, now the way you put it, how do we get that dialogue started? Is the discussion we have on the media, what the Prime Minister did when the teams went to the Southwest, and is that not part of the dialogue or part of the solution?
Well, when we talk of dialogue, dialogue is something where the stakeholders should sit down and set the base and discuss how it's going to go on. What the Prime Minister did is what we call inquiry. In inquiry, they have gathered the facts.
Okay.
What is wrong? So now they have tabled the facts somewhere. Okay. And now we are waiting to see how the stakeholders should sit down and dialogue. Okay.
You followed Dr. so much with the theoretical aspect of it, and it sounds very edifying. Now, how would you expect the ordinary person living in the Northwest or Southwest to behave in the face of this?
Yeah, Joe, I want to just answer one question. I'll come back to what you've asked. I think what the Prime Minister did, to me, first of all, it was a meeting between CPDM and CPDM. They did not meet the people who are really agitating.
No, he calls it an inquiry.
No, he calls it, but I'm telling you about what I know. It was a CPDM elite that went out and met CPDM militants. They did not meet the right people who are agitating. We should be clear about this.
No, I followed.
No, Joe, I just wanted to make this precision. And then you asked me a question.
Okay, you take responsibility for that.
No doubt, no doubt. But I'm saying that I think what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest, there is a situation of panic because the people who are at the forefront of the killings of the military are not the people on the ground. We're in a situation of hit and run. That is what is happening now. And, well, I followed the head of state's declaration about, declaring that they were going to clamp down on the actors. But the question is, who are you going to target? Because the people are not visible, from my own understanding. The people, the perpetrators of these killings, to me, you don't find them anywhere. And my fear is that the victims may be the innocent people of the Northwest and Southwest regions. That is where I stand.
Okay. But one thing about the problem is that it's more, I would say, more present in the rural areas now than in the urban areas. Prof.
Well, I don't think, I don't know what presence you are talking about.
That's...
Well, if it is felt much more in the rural areas...
That's what I meant.
I think that, yes, you're right. It is felt much more in the rural areas because many of those in the rural areas have heeded to the calls of the so-called leaders who are injecting information from the diaspora. I think it is in the rural areas that we have more pupils and students not going to school. But let me say that, you asked, if I permit, you talked about why the government is not handling it timely. I think in conflict management...
No, I didn't say that. I said the way it's approaching it.
Okay, the way the government is approaching it, right. I think conflicts everywhere and governments everywhere always think that time will solve a problem. And that is what they're thinking. That for over a year they're going to waste time and things are going to come out to stability. And that's why we are seeing people going to school faintly and on all the like. And when the president comes on to say he's going to make sure that the rule of law prevails, I think he has the responsibility to take such a decision because he's the president who has to guarantee the territorial integrity of Cameroon. But I think that he should be able to have noted too, in dishing out his condolences, to have known that many civilians of these regions too died. I think the condolences should have been given to all Cameroonians because it is not only the military who are Cameroonians. We are talking about civilians who have been killed. They are Cameroonians. I think that is my take. And of course, let me note that we are wasting time in resolving this crisis and wasting lives.
Why do you call it waste of time?
We are wasting time by not getting to frank dialogue, and by so doing, we are wasting lives. Because people are being killed. The military are being killed. The civilians are being killed. People are being arrested. I want to raise one issue. I noted in a program inside the presidency, when I was asked to talk to the president for 1 minute, I said before this crisis that Cameroon is gradually delving into a crisis and conflict situation which is going to push Cameroonians to become refugees. I noted that. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of Cameroonians who are in refugee camps in our neighboring countries. So we should be able to, I think the time is now. The time is now for this very frank dialogue to take place. I think it is, Dr. So talked about the idea of being radicalized. There is no government anywhere which has succeeded to defeat its people. These people are Cameroonians. And when we call a few, they're right, to call a few terrorists, we are saying that if millions of Cameroonians demonstrated on the 22nd of September, if they came out on the 1st of October, and a few are called terrorists, then it will mean that these few are representing the interest of that majority of a people. And therefore, those people could not be considered as, or should not be considered as terrorists. What they are doing, I think we have been able to... It's
the manner of operation. Because if you have, if you followed the Minister of Communication or government spokesperson, that's the manner of acting has pushed the powers that be to conclude that these are the ways that terrorists behave, and so they qualify for that. Maybe
violence is not right, no matter from what direction it is coming from. Be it from the so-called terrorists, be it from the military, it is unacceptable. We have talked about preaching peace, stopping violence, and preach peace and social justice. That is what we are supposed to be doing. And we should be able to, and in one of the programs we talked about what language should we adopt at crisis situations like this.
Yes, we've talked about that before.
This is the time where we have to get the words of appeasement, calling on Cameroonians to have a sense of belonging. I think all of these people are Cameroonians. And if we think that it is a bunch of terrorists, I would state here clearly, as I've stated before when we were talking about Boko Haram, it is an ideological battle. And put all the military together in Cameroon to get to Manfi, to get to the Anglophone region, they will not blow out the ideological issue. So it is a matter of calling those people and talking with them. If not, you are only radicalizing the people to move from one step to another. Now, let me say something, Joe.
Yes.
Let me say one thing very important.
A quick one.
Now, we have been able to say that these Anglophones should not talk. Let me put it that way. They should not talk because they cannot have any gathering. Okay.
No,
I am not.
Who said that?
Of course, if we have arrested some of the leaders because they are meeting.
But you are an Anglophone and you are talking.
Excuse me, sir. I'm trying to raise an issue. I have not been mandated by anybody to say what I'm saying.
You're talking on the press, which means it's...
And what I am noting is that if the people want to talk, you clamp down on them. When they are representatives, let me say political party, representatives of a political party, let me say those who represent these people, want to get to the National Assembly to articulate the issue, then it is stopped in a very rush manner. The question is, where are these people supposed to express themselves?
Okay.
On the streets?
If you were referring, because let me canalize your thoughts maybe by asking you my own question. I thought you were saying that Anglophones have been refused the right to talk, but I see them on the media and in debate programs expressing themselves. Now, if you're talking about what happened in Parliament, the incidents in Parliament, I believe that all of us did see that the MPs of the Social Democratic Front were left to be singing what their songs they were singing, and nobody stopped them from singing the songs. And when the parliamentary group leader protested the other day that the military should move out of the hemicycle, that happened, and they continued.
No, Joe.
In spite of all that. So what type of democracy are you talking about?
I'm talking about articulating a problem. These people are saying that the country is gradually delving into a conflict situation. Let us handle the so-called Anglophone crisis in the House of the Representative.
Okay.
And the others are saying no. I think that's what we are talking about.
Okay. One thing, I'll come back to you. Yes.
There is one message,
the first one, maybe.
Yes, one message is very clear. We should ask ourselves how we got to this level. There is what Yaoundé is doing. They are maintaining a very, very stony and provocative silence. You know, when somebody is agitating and you pass by or you look away, you give the impression that that person does not even exist. And I want to think that the manner in which this thing is handled says it all about who is an Anglophone in this country. Why are we taking so long to talk about, to come to the dialogue table?
Okay, let me ask you this question. These issues were articulated by, or were started by lawyers and common law lawyers and teachers.
Yeah.
The government spoke to the lawyers, spoke to the teachers. A number of issues have been put on the table and a number of decisions or measures have been taken. How else would you, if you were in the position of government,
no, the issues that were raised from the first day they met in Bamenda and Yaoundé, that is for the teachers in Bamenda and the common law lawyers in Yaoundé, if they had resolved some of these issues immediately, we would not have gotten to this level.
But you know,
first of all, Joe, let me say something.
Yes.
Government's position on this thing, on this crisis, as far as I'm concerned, has been that they will get tired, and that is what has brought us this far.
If you were a member of government, I would understand your position.
No,
yes,
that is understanding.
Doctor, you wanted to react to what he said first. I'll come back to you. Don't worry.
I think I would say that I'll add to. You have three positions that could be taken during a conflict, period. One, repression. That is belligerence. That is, you send the military to crush, to block, to suppress. That is not a way to solve a problem. Two, flight. Either you don't make a statement, or you say there's no problem, or you don't attend to the people. We call that flight. That is not a way to attend to a problem.
That's not a better way. It's a way, but not a
better way to attend to a problem. Then you have the third one, assertiveness. Assertiveness means taking the courage, standing up. We know there are dirty leanings. How do we do? What do we do? With whom do we do it? But let us go for a dialogue. So it is usually difficult. It is not as easy as we are talking here. But that is the way, or the best way, when we find ourselves in such a situation, to go about this conflict. So I think that I will use this opportunity again to call, to make an appeal to the government. This is one of the most complicated conflicts. And this conflict is not only in Cameroon. It is found in the four angles of the world: north, east, west, and south. So, and other countries are approaching it. Those that have not approached it have been separated. We have Sudan, and so we have Eritrea and Ethiopia. So our country should not go there. We should not think we are superhuman being or a superhuman country that we can go there. It is possible. And the things, the way I see them, the characteristics are all on the floor. So dialogue can stop this situation from happening.
Now, I'd want to react to what he's saying.
Yes, well.
Because I wanted to ask you different questions.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how would you explain that law enforcement officials are being targeted now?
Well, that is what I just said here. I talk of lost office, which means that the people can come up with their own strategies. They can say, okay, here is how we are going to operate. It is the radicalization of the conflict. And once it is radicalized, the people decide on what they are going to do. It may be it is their strategy that they are using in order to draw attention, and it may be they have other issues to do. But what I'm going to say is that it might become worse than this.
Okay.
Joe, I just want.
I like the way he puts it, because he's doing that from the theoretical perspective. Now, Prof, how would you explain the move of the Social Democratic Front in Parliament? Would it be to draw attention to themselves, because there are people who accuse them for capitalizing on the crisis to make political gains as well?
Joe, that's an interesting question. But permit me make a remark before I come to the question. I'm talking about what you said, that this issue was started by teachers and lawyers. And that is what brings some confusion as to leadership.
Has degenerated.
Yeah. What I want to say is that it was not started by teachers and lawyers. It was started way back from AEC1, even from 1964.
No, I mean the immediate causes.
There's an immediate
As a historian,
cause.
you would have removed an immediate cause.
Of course.
And so I'm talking about the
what we are saying,
the ones who brought it to the limelight, right?
Well, no. They brought their positions on the limelight. That is legal issues and
that's what we're talking. Yes.
And the Cameroonian people, the Anglophones, came up to in support of them. And of course, somebody calls it a Pandora box, where all the Anglophones now from all aspects of life came up with their issues. I think we want to make that one very clear. Now, the question again.
That the Social Democratic Front's actions in Parliament, is it not geared? Others are accusing them for making political gains or wanting to make political gains from the already bad situation.
Joe, my stand is very clear. I think they just manifested their democratic rights in Parliament as a political party. But I have stated time in, time out that I do not want any political party to try to make political capital out of the Anglophone
You can stop politicians from acting.
But what we are saying is that each time the politicians come, we have noted that here, that with all the political parties, they think that the Anglophone problem can only be solved through their political lenses, which is wrong. Therefore, when the SDF parliamentarians are doing what they are doing, the CPDM parliamentarians are equally getting a counter reaction, so that it shouldn't be a political victory for the SDF. And therefore, that is why we have made it very clear that the Anglophone problem is far above any political party. It is far above the CPDM. It is far above the SDF. The action in Parliament is just manifest that political parties cannot handle the issue, and then the President of the Republic now, if we have failed in the National Assembly, the President of the Republic, not as President of the CPDM, but as President of the Republic, as President of all Cameroonians, can provide a solution. And I think that the time is better now than later. And I think, if you permit, we are calling for the release of the rest of Anglophones who were arrested. We are told that the judgment or whatever has been postponed for the 29th of December. I want to pray the head of state to use this as a golden opportunity to release all those people on that 29 and give Cameroonians who are out of the country general amnesty in his end of year speech, so that we should be able to engage 2018 in a much more peaceful, hopeful atmosphere.
Okay. That's a plea that I hope the powers that be are listening. When you look at the ongoing situation in the country and the fact that I did, Doctor did make mention about why they are targeting the military, the big question which many people are asking, where do we go from here?
Well, I said it all. I think everything rests in the hands of the head of state, because if you see the Speaker of the National Assembly insisting that he doesn't want any dialogue, anything to be said about that.
Now,
Joe, excuse me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question in that light. Yes. How would you explain that the President of the Senate, the President of the National Assembly, in some of their past pronouncements said, dialogue, we should continue to dialogue, and then they can't dialogue about it themselves?
That is why I was saying that, and I'm still saying that, the task of initiating dialogue rests with the head of state. That is why the Speaker and the National Assembly and the President of the Senate, they don't even know how to begin it, because they have not been given the mandate, in quote. Because everybody believes that, even from the Speaker of the National Assembly, even from the President of the Senate, everybody believes that there is only one person who can bring this thing to a rest, or to final, bring the lasting solution to this crisis, and that person is the head of state. And we have been asking and asking why he has been this, silent. I don't understand why that position has been taken, to just be silent. And
but government has been acting.
Now I'm talking about the head of state.
Okay.
He should come out and make just like he came out and declared at the airport that the country cannot be allowed, you know, to be destroyed by terrorists, as he said it.
You want him to go further than what he said at the airport?
He should say that we must discuss this issue.
Okay, you're putting what he should say.
No, but he is the only person, because as I've said, the President of the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, or the Speaker of the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, have all said, both of them have said, we don't have powers to say anything on this issue. Which means that they are indirectly saying that there is only one person who can put a stop to what is happening in the Northwest and the Southwest region or regions, and that person is President Paul Biya.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
Why is he not talking?
Mr. Expert.
Where do we go from here? Dialogue. There's nothing we can do. We should not use
a different. Some time ago, about a month or so ago, there were write-ups in newspapers and pronouncements here and there that the dialogue is already ongoing. Did you see, or do you see that it's supposed to be something different from what is ongoing? If at all there's something ongoing.
To be honest, when we talk of dialogue, dialogue is something that should be well organized and coming from the stakeholders. A dialogue should not be a monologue. A dialogue should be a place where those leaders, the Anglophone leaders, the Anglophone stakeholders should come out and sit now with the other people, like the government, then they sit and discuss the Anglophone problem. There is an Anglophone problem, and this has been going on, you know, since the creation of the state, and today it has exploded. So explosion is not only in Cameroon, I repeat, it is not only in Cameroon, but in many other countries. So let us confront it, let us take the courage and go in for it.
Yes, take it, just come in please, as fast as you can. I was wondering where you were with reactions from those who are watching us live. Maybe there's a microphone there for you. Just hold it with your hand and then just go ahead.
Yeah, we have a good number of reactions. Let's start with one from Darcy Elvis talking about the first topic. For the issue of migration, we look at the pull and the push factors, and what these push factors for youths of Cameroonians is in the different countries of Africa is absence of jobs and economic hardship. And let's go to someone else. We have Veme Gape Donatius, same on the same topic of immigration. He also talks about the fact that European powers are not very interested in helping Africa to grow, but African leaders should look for solutions for African problems to help youth not to migrate. Concerning the Anglophone crisis, we have a good number of reactions. Asa Herman says, I don't think it is difficult to handle it now, or I think it's difficult to handle it now, since the government has decided to use military force to handle a political crisis. Menjo Thomas say, we have been crying for inclusive dialogue. Sebastian Ekambe also says he supports the ideas of Dr. So and Professor Willibrod on the fact that they have been calling for dialogue on this issue for quite a long time ago, and have been warned that the crisis may escalate. Eyong says there should be a referendum to find out what could be done to find a solution, lasting solutions to the Anglophone crisis. And Caroline Mala says the military is not the solution, and that they should free some of those who have been arrested. So
I know there are so many people who are writing, and all what we would say is to keep writing. Sometimes I try to reply to some of the messages myself, but I know I can just reply from my perspective. So a quick one. Yes. Can you just do one quick one? Where do we go from here? Maybe I'll begin. No, I'll get to you. You say what you have to say.
Let me say that the crisis is human creation. We have said that again and again. And our different reactions manifest the weaknesses, the human weaknesses. And I think that this crisis situation can be handled by Cameroonians if we actually want to. I think the time is now. We have to make a very special appeal to the President of the Republic that the crisis is far above political parties, and it is time for him to come in.
My appeal to the head of state is that we should first of all free everybody who is arrested. We grant general amnesty to those who have fled the country, and then thereafter we can call for dialogue.
Okay, that's an opinion.
My appeal as well is what both parties have already said.
Okay.